Hello, my name is Keeley and you're watching my booktube channel. So, Booktube-A-Thon is officially over and I am so sad, but I am so thrilled because I completed all 7 challenges and I am just shocked. Like I surprised myself this week. Usually I read maybe 1 to 2 books a week and this week I read 7 and I'm just wow. Most of these books that I read this week were amazing and they are now on my favorites list and I'm just so happy and it's just great. So I'm not going to go too deep into these books and what they are because I don't want this video to be a million hours long because I could go on forever about them, but I will tell you like what I thought about them and just all that good stuff. So let's get on into it. The first book I read this week was Meant to Be by Lauren Merrill, and this completed the challenge read a book where you and the author share the first letter of y'all's last name. And this book is about a girl who during spring break her and her class take a trip to London for 10 days and they ended up getting paired up like a buddy system, and she gets paired with the most annoying kid in class that she cannot stand at all. And as you can tell, there's romance, there's adventure, there's tons of fun, and I was so surprised by this book because it's one of those books that I bought because it was cheap on Book Outlet and the cover was beautiful, but I loved it. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars and it was just so much fun, and it was set in London and London's my favorite and I love romance, and falling in love in London is one of my like bucket list items, so this was just really good. And if you are in the mood for a light, fun contemporary, then go ahead and pick this up. The next book I read was The Statistical Probability of Love at First Sight by Jennifer E. Smith, and this completed the challenge read someone else's favorite book, and oh my gosh, I love this. If you want to read a book and find out everything about me, then read this because this is what I want to happen to me. This is about a girl who is flying across the country to, well, not across the country, she's flying out of the country to London to go to her father's wedding, and she's not happy about it at all, and she ends up missing her flight, and that just brought her so much more happiness, missing the flight, and she ends up meeting this guy, and so there's romance blossoming just from the plane ride over, and it was just incredible. And fun fact, the girl in this is afraid of mayonnaise, and I was just so happy that there was a character like that because I have a fear of ketchup, so relatable. And literally this is my life goal, to fall in love with a British boy while traveling. Every single time I travel, every time I meet a British guy, I'm like, this could be the one, this could be the one, but it never is. And so basically this book is just everything I want to happen to me, minus the whole father wedding thing. I'm happy with my parents the way they are, so we're gonna keep that one out of my life, but the whole falling in love with the British boy in London is just perfect for me. I gave this one 5 out of 5 stars. The next book I read was Tombstones Most Haunted by Joshua Hawley, and this completed the challenge read a book without letting go of it, and I read this in about an hour. It's very short, so it obviously does not take long at all, and these are real life ghost stories about a town called Tombstone, Arizona, and it is one of the most haunted towns in the country. And actually in July last month I got to go to this town, and it is one of my favorite places ever. It's just an old western town, and when you're there you could feel the history, and it's just so neat to read about these ghost stories that are there, and it makes me want to go back so I can investigate all this stuff. And some of these stories were actually really creepy and they like gave me chills. I could not read this at night, so good thing that it was not at night when I was reading this. So it was just really good. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars overall. The next book I read might be my favorite book of all time now, but you know how it is. It's so hard to choose a favorite book of all time, but it is definitely in my top 3, and that is The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, and this completed the challenge read a book with blue on the cover, and this book just contains serial killers, FBI, crime, criminal profiling, just everything. And this is the kind of thing that I want to go into after I graduate college. I really want to work for the FBI, so this was right up my alley, and criminal profiling is pretty much exactly what I want to do. I like to get in the heads of criminals and figure out why they do what they do, and this book is what it was about. The main character is a teenager who is a criminal profiler, and she's a natural at it, so the FBI recruits her and some other kids who have natural abilities like that to help them solve cold cases, but they end up getting wrapped up in a real case that is taking place, and they end up being put in danger. It definitely kept me on my toes the entire time. I would even yell out loud at some points. It was so good, and I need to carry on. It is a trilogy. This is the first book in a trilogy. The third book isn't out yet. I don't remember when it's coming out. I knew I was going to love it just because of the crime and the FBI aspect into it, but it completely blew me away, and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, 10 out of 5 stars. It was so amazing. The next book I read in the Booktube-A-Thon was The Remedy by Suzanne Young, and this completed the challenge, read a book you really want to read. And I was really nervous about this one because it is over 400 pages, but I still read it in one day, and it was so good. This is a companion novel to the program duology, and this is actually going to be either a duology or a series. The second one comes out in April, I believe, and this is set before the program, so it kind of leads up to it, and it's just really good, and I loved the characters and the mystery and the plot twist. Oh my gosh. At the end, there's this plot twist, and I was just like, everything changes after this. It was intense, and then it left on such a cliffhanger. I need to know what happens to these characters. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. It kept my attention the whole time. It was very enjoyable. Next book I read was Red Rising by Pierce Brown, and this completed the challenge, read the last book you acquired, and I really wanted to love this. I was reading it. I was like, I should be loving this. Why aren't I loving this? And it just seemed like something that I would absolutely love. This is a fantasy book about, basically in this world there are different caste systems based on color. And so the golds are known as the most powerful, the highest up that you can be, and the reds are the lowest of the low. And this follows our main character Darrow, who is a red, and reds are miners in Mars. And basically the golds have been telling the reds all their life for hundreds of years that Earth is dying, and they have to mine helium-3 to make Mars habitable for all the people. But when something really tragic happens to Darrow, he finds out that the golds have been lying to him the whole time, and people have been living on Mars peacefully for hundreds of years, and the reds are basically just slaves. So he has to go undercover as a gold so he can destroy them from the inside out. And I just didn't love this, and I don't know, it was just so frustrating because I wanted to love it so much, but there was no world building, so I had no idea what was going on half of the time. But there were some chapters that really kept me intrigued, and it was very action-packed, and I recommend that you would pick this up because I know a bunch of people do love it, and it is very interesting. It's just really confusing at points because there is no world building, and this world would be so amazing to explore and get into because of the different aspects, and it's so detailed. It is very detailed, and it amazes me how he built this world up, and I ended up giving this like a 3 out of 5 stars. I don't know if I will lower that, but I could not get into it, and I was actually surprised that I was able to finish this book because I couldn't really get into it, and it hurts my heart so much because I wanted to love this so bad, but I just didn't. But I would still recommend that you pick it up because you never know, you will probably love this. And the last book I read was Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie. This wasn't on my Booktube-A-Thon TBR, but I just decided to pick it up because it does complete the challenge, read 7 books, so it was very easy to read. And I had never read Peter Pan. Peter Pan's one of those stories that everyone knows, but not a lot of people have yet read. And I'm not going to explain what Peter Pan is because everyone, like I said, everyone knows this story about a boy who never grows up. There you go. And it was a lot, I guess, creepier, and the characters were different than I originally thought they were. Like, Peter Pan is kind of a jerk. Just gonna put that one out there. But I didn't love this, but I didn't hate it. I don't exactly know how I feel about this, but I gave it like a 3.5 out of 5 stars. But can we just talk for a second about this edition that I have? It is so beautiful in the back. It's just, I love it so much. I really love this. But the story, overall, I didn't love it. So, sorry. So these are the 7 books that I read in the Booktube-A-Thon. I am very happy to say that I won the Booktube-A-Thon in my eyes, because I honestly thought that I would only read, my goal was to read at least 3 books. I knew that I could probably read 3 books, but I completed all 7 challenges and I'm just so happy and thrilled, and it lowered my TBR, even if just by 7 books, but it still helped a lot. Let me know what you read during the Booktube-A-Thon, how you did, and how many pages you read. I ended up reading 1,783 pages this week, which is incredible for me. Let me know what your favorite book that you read this week was, and just talk to me in the comments. I like to meet people. I love how connected we all felt this week. It was just amazing, and I will see you next time. Bye!